Greetings, citizens, and thanks for tuning in to episode 69 of the Nindie Nation podcast. I'm Jeff, and I'm going to try my hardest to act like an adult, with this being the episode between number 68 and 70, but no promises. If this is your first time listening to Nindie Nation, welcome, and thanks for stopping by. Nindie Nation is your weekly source for everything independently developed for the Nintendo Switch. This week, we're taking a look at all of the brand new indie games releasing from June 13th through Friday the 20th, and after that, we'll dig through the hundreds of deals currently live on the eShop and deliver to you our picks for the discounted Nindies you can't afford to miss. Except the deals this week are going to be a little different. I'll explain when we get there. You can find Nindie Nation every Sunday night on your favorite podcast service, and on Monday, we post each episode in video format on YouTube, complete with footage of every game we cover. By the time this episode publishes, we'll have a brand new video live on the Nindie Nation YouTube channel focusing on 5 fast-paced action Nindies currently keeping our Joy-Cons synced. So go check it out. Nindie Nation is brought to you by the Nintendo Village, your go-to destination for everything else Nintendo. Now, it's time to get into the games. As you know, we always start with the games that weren't listed in the prior week's new releases, and in episode 68, I asked you about covering games that are clearly shovelware, especially in the Neglected Nindies segment. You came out in droves with your feedback on YouTube and Twitter, where you can find us at Nindie Nation, so thank you very much for that. I took it all into consideration, and we're going to try a slight variation with Neglected Nindies this week, so let me know what you think as we jump right into the Neglected Nindies released without warning since episode 68. Kicking off this week's list of 11 indie games, which, forgot to advertise their game last week, we've got yet another new release from East Asia Soft, who's been busy recently releasing solid indies at a fair price. This week, along with Panda Indie Studio, they released Pity Pit, a 4-bit Dig Dug-like game starring a dwarf named Horatio who must mine and dig his way down deep into the Earth's crust on a quest to save his wife Gwendolyn from an evil devil named Johnson? Devil Johnson, huh? Alright. At $4, Pity Pit doesn't seem like a bad way to start off the week. Cubide Interactive is back this week again with another simplistic puzzle game for only 49 cents called Him and Her. Set across 68 single-screen stages in a dark, moody, and minimalistic art style, you'll play as him, I guess, and use gravity-defying mechanics to make your way to her. But if you prefer your defiance of gravity with a little more action, well, you're in luck with Radaleka's SpaceJacked, a title I've seen many outlets quite smitten with this past week. As with most Radaleka titles, it's a pixelated 2D action game, but in SpaceJacked, you're not only shooting the proverbial evil aliens, but also building towers and other defense structures to ward off the aliens from invading your ship. It's $7.99, which is among the higher-priced releases from Radaleka, but this action platformer with a dose of tower defense contains a story, challenge levels, and 2 endless modes, so you should have no problem with running out of aliens to blow up. Remember SC Ovalex Soft, the team last week that released Taxi Sim 2020 and then repurposed the same game engine into a drag racing game? Well, they're not done yet because they took a very similar approach, but they put it in water with this week's Ship Sim 2020, which they say has, quote, everything you ever wanted in a ship simulator game. You'll complete simple missions as a cruise ship, oil tanker, or cargo ship, and honestly, it looks a bit janky, but oddly interesting to me for some reason. It did launch at $15 though, so even if you do fall into the admittedly niche audience this game is aiming for, I think you can wait for a sale on this one. Get it? Sale? Like, sail a boat or sail. Someone needs to check on the gang over at Forever Entertainment because they not only released 4 games since last week, but they forgot to let anyone know they were doing so. Packmaster joins episode 69 with a file size of 69 megabytes and a price tag of $4.99 and basically is a packing simulator. You try to cram things into suitcases and the more you fit in, the better you score. So that's a thing. Maskey is a weird little $5 release that appears to be a rhythm game of some sort. You make masked creatures at a costume ball dance to the beat, and the better you perform, the more dancers join you. So that's another thing. Now, Pixboy is doing something I haven't seen before. This is a 2D platformer, but built to look and feel like the games we used to play on our old Nokia phones. Remember those? It's definitely unique and has a bunch of levels to platform your way through, but it's really just a platformer. You move to the right, collect coins, jump over pits, you know the drill. This might be a fun way to kill an afternoon, but Forever Entertainment always runs crazy 99% discount sales, so only spend the $5 on Pixboy if you are just clamoring to play a mobile game built to run on a phone from 1999. Seeds of Resilience is not a very descriptive title for a game that is essentially a SimCity or Civilization-style game but set in the colonial era. Landing in the new world and building your village turn by turn looks both fun and fully featured with a nice classic presentation. Seeds of Resilience is clearly built for fans of this genre, but if that's you, $12 seems perfectly reasonable for what you're getting here. And now we move into our brand new segment, and I have a contest for you. Based on your feedback about Nindies you're probably not going to buy or just want to be warned against, I'm planning to move all of those type of titles to the end of Neglected Nindies, and I think this section needs its own name. If you think you have a good idea or a good name for this segment, leave a comment on YouTube or let me know on Twitter at Nindie Nation. If we use your suggestion, I will send you a code for a Nindie, just know it's probably going to be one that's randomly sitting in my inbox, and I do not guarantee it will be anything spectacular, but hey, you get to name a section of the podcast, so that's cool. Anyways, the 3 games this week that you're probably not going to buy are FIREFIGHTERS Airport Heroes by UIG Entertainment and Fairplay Labs. You're a firefighter doing firefighter things in an airport, except it looks like a bargain bin game I bought from Electronics Boutique for my Windows 98 PC, and it's $40. Jack's or Better Video Poker by eSolutions Nordic would be an atrocity as a free Flash game. As a Switch title for $7.49, it is a crime against humanity and looks like little more than an Excel spreadsheet with a couple of MS Paint playing cards. Roulette at Ace's Vegas Casino is the next disappointment by Digital Game Group, who has been really trying their hardest recently to overtake Sabek's efforts, and they think you're going to spend $6 on a roulette game that looks worse than the pre-installed games you can't get rid of when you buy a cheap smartphone from Verizon. Besides those 3 though, not a bad week for the games that we had no idea were coming out. SpaceJacked is definitely my pick, but if I was more into the Civ Sim games, I might be more interested in Seeds of Resilience. Let me know what you think, and don't forget to send over your suggestions for naming the Neglected Shovelware segment. Now, I am absolutely aware that almost every week I tell you that I'm excited for this upcoming released list, or that there's something for everyone or whatever it is that week, but this week I'm excited because there is so much variety. I think I get to edit in all of the Nindie Nation audio gags. So let's get into it. Here are the 19 new releases from independent developers hitting the eShop from June 19th through June 20th. You might remember Summer in Mara as the beautiful game from the last Indie World presentation that took place on an island paradise with visuals that looked like a vivid anime filter on top of the scenery from Disney's Moana. Developed by CHIBIG, Summer in Mara starts with a foundation similar to Stardew Valley. Farming, crafting, exploring, but then it does it all in a third-person perspective, so the experience feels much more alive. There's apparently a good story in there, but I couldn't find much more without playing it for myself. And the game takes place on one island surrounded by an open ocean for you to explore, with over 20 more islands that you can inhabit. CHIBIG has built a living, breathing world here that is ripe for exploring, and if you're looking for a relaxing adventure, the reviews are already trending positive, and you can embark on this adventure for $22.49 when Summer in Mara releases on June 16th. There's a new point-and-click adventure game getting some decent buzz releasing on June 17th called I Dream of You and Ice Cream, and it comes to us from Manolidis Amelios, who has released a couple of games on the Switch, but nothing too noteworthy so far. In this weird pixelated world, mankind has been enslaved by a doll that, as the kids would say, is creepy AF, and you are presented with a series of puzzles to solve to earn your freedom. And for every 2 puzzles you solve, you get a key to the next puzzle. If you're ready to get your creepy logic puzzle on, you can do so when I Dream of You and Ice Cream drops for only $4.49. Novabox is an indie studio who focuses on narrative adventures with an interesting, melancholy art style, and they've made a few games now, but I think their first one for the Switch is next week's Across the Grooves, releasing for $16.99. The premise is pretty cool. The protagonist, Alice, is a boring, everyday person who, upon playing a record she receives in the mail, is sent to the past to relive old experiences, and when she returns, the world has changed as well. Now she embarks on a journey across Europe to see what else she can relive to change her future. As with any game about time travel, there are multiple butterfly effects, and you're constantly making decisions, so there's going to be a lot to experience here, and you can put the needle to vinyl when Across the Grooves launches on June 17th. Also on June 17th, DAEDALIC revives a cult classic adventure game with brand new visuals called EDNA and HARVEY: The Breakout Anniversary Edition for $19.99. I remember a friend being really obsessed with this game back when the original released like 10 years ago. It's got a weird, surreal art style, kind of like an animated Nightmare Before Christmas type of unsettling but humorous vibe. It's also pretty big for a point-and-click adventure, as this sucker is over 20 hours long. You can also switch back and forth between the original and the remake at the push of a button, and I love it when remakes do that. There's really a lot to love this week if you're a fan of games that don't have any gameplay. I kid, guys. This looks like one of the good ones. Besides, you know what I mean. Point-and-click adventure, narrative adventure. Now we just need a visual novel and a walking simulator. You can send your hate mail to Nindie Nation on Twitter. And we've got 11 titles releasing the next day, so that must mean that June 18th is the big Thursday drop, and the party starts with Destrobots by 7 levels. Destrobots is a twin-stick arena shooter built as a party game for up to 4 players. There are plenty of levels, a rush mode that can be played solo, and each level has all kinds of traps that look like they're right out of a BattleBots episode. $10 isn't too bad if you'll always have a room full of people to play this game with, but launching without a single player mode or any kind of online play makes Destrobots a tough sell right out of the gate. Working Zombies is the next release by Jupiter, who is usually busy releasing the beloved Picross series, but Working Zombies is something completely different. This is a silly, humorous take on zombies helping humans tackle everyday jobs like being a hairstylist, plumber, or a flight attendant. This mostly looks like one of those plate spinning games. You know, kinda like an Overcooked where the challenge isn't necessarily completing the action itself, but rather keeping multiple things moving at once without failure. But there's also other games in there entirely, because the plumbing game looks just like the classic puzzler Pipe Dream. I'm not really sure what to say about this one. On one hand, Jupiter usually puts out high-quality games that will last you a long time. On the other hand, they don't do a very convincing job of explaining their concept. It has an art style similar to a cheap mobile game, and it launches for $19.99. For those reasons, let's hold off on Working Zombies until we know a little more or we see a price drop. You know, it's been a few weeks since we've seen Artifex Mundi drop another one of their beautiful point-and-click puzzle titles, but they're back again with the watercolor-soaked Endless Fables Dark MOOR for $14.99. This one focuses on a world-famous anthropologist who is on a quest to uncover the mystery of a Scottish legend. Has anyone ever played one of their games? Let me know. I gotta say, they always intrigue me, but just not my kind of game. One of the funniest games that I couldn't believe actually existed throughout this podcast's history was a title called Push the Crate, and on June 19th, we get a sequel. That's right, if you've longed for a 3D adventure where all you do is solve crate-pushing puzzles, then Polygon Art has just the game for you. There's over 200 levels, and the graphics are actually gorgeous, as Push the Crate 2 takes place on a picturesque tropical paradise. It's pretty cheap, too. If you want more crates than you could ever push, Push the Crate 2 will run you $4.99. I'm very much at odds with this next release by developer Playism! At first glance, Hackania Explorer Plus is a top-down action RPG that looks a lot like Disgaea or Final Fantasy Tactics releases from the PlayStation 1, and that's a good thing. It also seems to have a good sense of humor, but then I also read things like this that, while funny, I'm concerned at where the developer draws the line between funny and cringy. Take your pick from a variety of swimwear, including swimwear that's just for show. Most of the monsters are soft, cute, sadistic girls. You can totally touch their butts. The roster of lethal monsters includes such superstars as the pervy Rocket, who will melt the threads of your clothes in all the right places. See what I mean there? It's like, oh, yeah, that's funny. Wait, you guys need like a cold shower over there or what? Otherwise, Hackania Explorer Plus looks like a really fun throwback to PS1 RPGs, and it launches at $11.99. And oh my goodness, we've got an erotic anime visual novel for you this week, and this one is solid. For $10, D3 Publisher releases My Butler, which is, well, the visual novel game of your dreams where you can enjoy a budding romance with haughty idols turned butlers. This is a romance game for women where you can enjoy romance with hot butlers. The route characters are top-class celebrities who serve as your personal butlers, sometimes sweet, sometimes aggressive. This is, quite the niche, huh? I guess everyone has their thing, though. If you're watching the video version, notice how in all of the screenshots, you can see the men's tongues. Can't say I've ever seen that. I'll leave you here with my favorite screenshot and quote from the game, which features, I guess, a butler looking at the main character and saying, "It kind of feels like you're a..." Sorry, I can't. "It kind of feels like you're a kitten licking milk." Oh, God, that's just... Oh, that's so gross. Anyways, Alien Pixel Studios brings what has to be a mobile port of their game Poland Ball Cannon to Space to the Switch for what seems to be a very fitting $2.54. You play as a ball with the Polish flag on it, and you have to build a rocket ship to get said Polish can to the moon. Probably don't need to spend any more time on that one. And next on June 18th is a serene little game meant to help you chill out, and I am totally here for it when EPIXR Games drops AERY, Little Bird Adventure for $6.99. If you've played Flow or Flower by that game company, just kind of mash those two together. You get the same dreamlike art style, and the goal is to fly around as a little bird, maybe pick up a few collectibles, and just take in the simple story and calming sights. I like this one. Playism has another release for you this week with the port/upgrade of their PC title One Way Heroics called One Way Heroics Plus for $14.99. One Way Heroics is a retro RPG of sorts where you're constantly being forced to move to the right as a evil darkness consumes the world right behind you. You'll grind and level up a bit before eventually getting devoured, and then you'll start again, so in that way, it's like a roguelike. In fact, One Way Heroics Plus features procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements. We haven't seen how often this publisher discounts their games yet, but this style of game should give you a good amount of playtime. Personally, I'd probably wait for a sale. The runner-up for this week's Pick of the Week is a stylish 2D action platformer by La Cosa Entertainment called Klaus. With striking visuals reminiscent of Rumbo, Klaus puts you and your canine partner on a journey of creative platforming challenges that require the unique capabilities of both playable characters. The story is told through a non-interruptive, fourth-wall-breaking approach, so it plays out on-screen as you work your way through the challenges. I generally love this kind of stuff in gaming, and we don't see it enough. Klaus has a lot of good stuff going for it, and it's received numerous accolades since releasing earlier this year on other platforms. This is a great first showing for La Cosa Entertainment, and I'm excited to see what the future has in store for this studio. You can pick up Klaus on June 18th for $14.99. And the final release for June 18th is, in fact, Nindie Nation's Pick of the Week and a game featured in the Nindies We Love video focused on upcoming indies on other platforms that you should keep your eye out for. That title is Ruiner by Raycon Games, and it launches for $19.99. Ruiner is a grim cyberpunk twin-stick shooter with an excellent story, stunning presentation, and an open-ended design that lets you have just the right amount of freedom while also progressing alongside the narrative. I don't want to spoil too much about the story, but you wake up with this weird mask on, which was used by an evil person to control you. You're not sure exactly what you've been up to, but you know it hasn't been anything good, and the effects of the mind control will still pop in occasionally, reminding you that you're not yet free of the villain's control. As you embark on a quest for revenge, you are aided by a cast of enthralling characters who help you gain back your abilities and undo the events of your past. Just like Ruiner's approach as open-ended but not completely open world, the character progression follows suit, giving you a huge range of abilities that allow you to completely alter your playstyle. Add in the option to respec your character at any time and a wide variety of encounters waiting for you, and you'll find that Ruiner is always encouraging you to try new approaches to your character build, which really helps with the replay value. I've put over 20 hours into Ruiner on PC, and I love the high level of polish, engrossing characters, and the story, and the gameplay loop is always changing things up. If you like twin-stick combat, cyberpunk stuff, or any kind of RPG-like grinding, you'll find a lot to love in Ruiner, and that's why it is Nindie Nation's Pick of the Week. On June 19th, we get 4 more releases to round out the week, and they could not be any more different. Railway Empire by KALYPSO Media Group and Gaming Minds Studios is a tycoon-style-like game where you expand across the new world of the United States starting in 1830. You're responsible for running a railway, laying tracks, buying trains, finding new land to develop, and it's all delivered with impressive production values. It'll cost you though, as if you want to become a baron of the mid-1800s, you're going to be dropping $40 to get on this train. Radio Squid is this week's $5 game from Ratalaika and sees you play out the adventure of a squid inside of a 2D, mostly black and white world with low-res graphics that remind me of Gato Roboto. It's not a Metroidvania like Gato Roboto, but Radio Squid looks like it provides a decent time across all of its 24 levels. Radio Squids and Robot Cats. I'll tell you what, these Nindies. And the game whose cover art itself is going to give me nightmares, the COMA 2 Vicious Sisters is a story-driven game by Head Up and Dev Espresso with all kinds of gameplay elements, and even though it's a gigantic pile of nope for me, the visuals look fantastic. This is probably a solid pick for horror fans, as the game takes place inside of a haunted high school where you and your friends must band together and solve puzzles as you try to survive a relentless psychopath. Not only that, but it's only $13.49. If I was in the mood to soil myself, this game might be among my picks of the week. And finally, as I told you these last 4 were completely different, this next one is an arcade soccer game, or football for anyone who's not in America, which is like 27% of you, so thanks for checking us out. Super Soccer Blast is developed and published by Unfinished Pixel, and it looks like a totally serviceable soccer game for some lighthearted fun, similar to International Superstar Soccer, and it's only $7.99. What do you think? Are you picking up Ruiner this week? Klaus looks pretty solid too, and there's something for just about everyone, even if you're specifically looking for a Hollywood icon turned personal butler romance simulator. Who knew? Let me know what you're picking up in the comments below or on Twitter at Nindie Nation. Okay, citizens, we've got something weird going on here. I've been doing Nindie Nation for about 18 months now, and the entire schedule is structured around getting to the deals as soon as they go live, so that when I publish the episode, all of you have as much time as possible to check out or pick up these games. There have only been 2 times when, out of the blue, all of the deals expired outside of their usual timeframes, and both of those resulted in a surprise Nintendo or Nindie Direct. Now, I love my Nintendo Direct rumors just as much as the next Nintendo fanboy, but I'm not trying to rumor monger here. I'm just saying that this week there are 1,121 games currently on sale, which is huge, and they all went live just before the weekend, and they all expire on Tuesday the 16th, and that timing is unheard of. As such, I'll read a few of them off pretty quickly, but you're only going to have about 24 hours from the time this publishes to jump on them, so I won't spend as much time as usual. If for some reason there is a big indie presentation or some other massive eShop deal takes its place, I am planning to do a one-off quick episode, so stay tuned. Okay, this is a weird week, and I apologize in advance. Cue the music! This is going to be fun, citizens, because this is going to be completely unscripted. Here we go. Skelly Celeste and Stramium Immortally is a double pack that we talked about, both pixelated side-scrolling action games a while back. It's currently 70% off for $5.99. Assault Android Cactus is one of my favorite twin-stick shooters on the Switch, and a title that we did a Let's Play Nindies for. It's currently half off for $9.99, and that is its lowest price ever. Serial Cleaner is a game that's kinda like Hotline Miami, except you're responsible for cleaning up after a murder so that you don't get caught. It's currently 90% off for $1.49. Mark of the Ninja Remastered, other than The Messenger, is probably the best ninja game on the Switch, this one with a very heavy stealth focus, and it's currently 75% off, also its lowest price ever, for only $4.99. Timespinner is not only one of my favorite Metroidvanias on the Switch, but it's also one of my favorite Nindies on the Switch, and I recommend it to just about anyone. It's currently 40% off for $11.99, and you can find it in one of the last Nindies We Love videos. A Hat in Time, the love letter to a 3D Mario platforming game, is currently 30% off for only $21. Don't Starve, the survival in the woods simulator game, is currently 75% off for $5. Firewatch, one of the original quote-unquote walking simulators that really got the genre churning, is currently 70% off for only $4.99. Blasphemous is one of the most recent and highly regarded side-scrolling Souls-like games, and it's got incredible but disgusting pixel art, and it is currently half off, also its lowest price ever, for $12.49. Golf Story was one of the first success stories for an indie on the Switch, and it's currently half off for $7.49. Child of Light is the RPG that is an indie, but not an indie because it was technically published by Ubisoft, but it's one of the best RPGs, in my opinion, that's released in the last 10 years, and it's currently $5 at 75% off. Bastion and Transistor are both 80% off for $3 and $3.99 respectively. Both of those are incredible action RPGs. And the Hotline Miami collection, containing both Hotline Miami 1 and 2, is currently 65% off, also its lowest price ever, for $8.74. That's a great deal. You get both games for that. And there are so many more, but really, those are the deals that really stood out to me that are easy recommendations. If you manage to grab any of them, let me know. Sorry for the weird deals this week, but who knows? Maybe we'll have a midweek episode and something exciting to talk about. As always, keep up to date with us on Twitter at Nindie Nation, and come Tuesday when these deals expire, we'll see what takes their place. In the meantime, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel where the new Nindies We Love is now live alongside all of the Let's Plays and other Nindies We Love episodes. If you like what you see, toss us a like or a subscribe, and I always appreciate reading any of your feedback in the comments below. For everything else Nintendo related, go check out our friends at the Nintendo Village. They're cranking out articles left and right in this weird E3-less summer, and there's a ton of daily content as well as reviews, other podcasts, and even more videos to check out on their YouTube channel. The best place to find all of their content, however, is over at thenintendovillage.com, and we thank them for making Nindie Nation possible. With that, we're all done with episode 69 of Nindie Nation. Thank you for watching, thanks for listening, and of course, thanks for telling others about Nindie Nation. We're here every Sunday for audio listeners, and on Monday for our friends on YouTube. We might see you again in a midweek episode if my hunch is correct, but no matter what, we'll be right here next week for episode 70. Until then, citizens, I'm Jeff, this has been Nindie Nation episode 69, and the best part about indie games is that no matter what you're into, there's a small team out there making your dream game, and for that very reason, Nindie Nation will be right here to help you find that perfect game to keep your Joy-Cons synced.